Okay, hi guys and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing a 24-hour readathon, a reading challenge to read for 24 hours straight. And the theme for my books for this video are going to be 2024 releases. So we're going to be reading 2024 releases for 24 hours. I was thinking of this because I was looking at my TBR and I actually have quite a few books that were released in 2024, and also just with new releases coming in 2025. I was thinking about how I still have quite a few releases from last year that I was really excited to get to, which I haven't read yet. So I'm primarily going to be focusing on the ones on my TBR, but if for some reason they don't interest me or just want a different vibe, or by some miracle that I get through them all, then I'll be looking at my bookshelf where I do have a few more, not too many, but like 2-3 more. So like I said, I'll be definitely referring to the books on my TBR for this video. I picked these all out with the TBR jar, which is another video if you guys want to go check that out. I have 3 2024 releases. I have 2 fantasies and 1 romance. So I just want to go through the books quickly. First one is Sanctuary of the Shadow. This one came out in January of 2024. I haven't really heard much about it, but it's a circus fantasy, or a fantasy that revolves around a circus. Going to Pretty Blind, and like I said, I haven't heard anybody talk about this, so I'm really interested to see how it turns out and what I think. And if I like it, I kind of just picked it up at a random table at the bookstore. Just saw it like on display when it had first come out, and I thought the cover was really beautiful and the sprayed edges were really nice, and I just like the vibe of it. And then seeing that it was a circus, like it always reminds me of like Carnival, which I really love. So yeah, this is our first pick. And then the next fantasy is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. So I started this on my Kindle and I got to page 102 chapter 10, so I'm already like a quarter of the way through, and so far it's really good. I really enjoyed the first 100 pages. This is the 3rd book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. This one is book 1 of the Shadowborn duet. So we have this book about this couple and this storyline, and then we're gonna have another book about this couple and the storyline later in 2025. And I was under the impression that Six Scorched Roses was about this side character. I think it follows a side character. I actually don't know what Six Scorched Roses is about, but I just assumed that it was a novella following the side character because, you know, she's brought up a lot in the first 2 books. And then I realized that this and the next book is actually gonna be about her, which makes me so happy because I really liked her. So yeah, this is our 2nd book. And then the last book, which is the romance, is Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. And I've only heard 1 review on this book and raved about it. All I know is that it's about 2 musicians. You can tell from the cover, from the front. That's all I know about it. It's like a romance set between 2 musicians, and that's all I want to know going into it. So these are the 3 books we're going to focus on. Like I said, it might deviate from this, but these are the goals. 24 hours to read the 3 books. I think it's possible. We shall see. I feel like having the 2 fantasies and then the romance is a good spread, and I think I'm gonna save the romance for the nighttime when I'm like super tired, hard to focus. I feel like a romance is bad. And then when I have my energy throughout the day, I'm going to focus on the 2 fantasies, which require a little bit more brain power. So that is the game plan going into this 24-hour readathon, and let's go back in time to 6 a.m. when I started this challenge. Hey guys, good morning. I'm not gonna talk much because it's so early, but it's currently 5:54 in the morning, and we're gonna go ahead and start our 24-hour timer. There we go. Okay, so it is started. Start Sanctuary of the Shadow. So I'm gonna come back in a little bit, not too long, but I'm gonna come back in a little bit once I've started this and give a bit more of like an update and everything.
Kinda thought she was into me, but I guess not. From the way that she looked and spoke to me, I lost the plot. Don't wanna hear.
Okay, hi guys, I thought we could do a little update. It's been a few hours. So in the morning I just filmed when I started my first book, and then not much since, just because, you know, it's sort of the early mornings and you're starting the challenge and just starting the book, so there wasn't really much to update on or anything like that. It was pretty successful. I mean, obviously I made it through. I didn't fall back asleep or anything like that. It was very slow reading at the beginning. So our timer is currently just past 19 hours, so we've been reading for a bit more than 5 hours. I've been still reading Sanctuary of the Shadow. I haven't changed my book at all, just been reading this one all the way through, and I'm now on chapter 17, page 234. This book isn't that long, especially for a fantasy. It's under 400 pages, so we are well past the halfway mark. The book so far is really good. I would say the first 100 pages were pretty slow because there's quite a few characters and you get introduced to all of them in their own respective POV, in their own like situations, in their own scenarios, and like it takes a while for things to kind of connect together. And then I would say after page like 100 it really picks up, things are connecting together, and you do have a mission, you have a plot, and it's really good. I think the story just took a bit of a turn, but it's really good and I'm really enjoying where the story is going still. Definitely very fast paced. Definitely a good book to start with, that's for sure. Anyway, so yeah, it's 11 a.m. I think I'm gonna start making a coffee, maybe some breakfast, continue on with this book, and I'll check in later when I've made some more progress.
Love turning friends into enemies now.
Okay, I just finished Sanctuary of the Shadow. The timer is at 15 hours and 35 minutes. Just overall as a story, I thought it was super interesting. I thought it was very unique. I never really explained what this book was about because I myself went in blind, and I'm kind of happy I did. It was definitely like a very enjoyable, magical world to kind of discover going blind, and it's not like a super complex story or anything. So going in blind was definitely really fun, and I'm glad that I was able to. In the beginning, they're like in a circus. A circus is full of, they're called elementals, so they have like different powers and stuff. But some of them pose as humans, so she poses as a psychic to hide her ability as a seer because she wouldn't be safe if people knew that she was a seer. So it starts with her. Then one day, the person who's like in charge of the circus, he brings in a new creature. He is going to use it as a circus act, but our main character is like, this isn't right. So she's like, give him to me, he'll be my responsibility, and I'll find a way to get him to sort of perform in the circus for you, but you don't need to torture him like this. That's really where I felt like this story actually started, the plot started, so I'll stop talking there. There's a lot more to it, there's a lot more to both of the characters, and it was really good. I loved her best friend, her side character, and from like a third of the way through I was like, I think there's gonna be more about this character, and I thought this was a standalone book. Upon picking it up today, I realized that it's actually a series, and I think it might just be a duology, but it might be a series, I'm not sure which, but the next book is going to be about her best friend, and I'm super excited because at first I wasn't really thinking I was going to continue on the series, but now knowing that it's about her best friend Mal, I'm definitely going to pick up the next book when it comes out. Mal also like meets this other character in here, which I really like, and I think he might be the love interest. That is my speculation, and I really hope that he is, so that would be really fun. Anyways, but I really love this book. I think I'm going to save my ratings for the end because I'm still kind of torn as to what I would rate it since I just finished it, but yeah, those are my thoughts. Our first book done, Sanctuary of the Shadow. Thinking of doing The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I don't really want to dive into a fantasy later when it's like the middle of the night and I'm tired. I feel like picking up a romance would be a lot easier and quicker. Oh my gosh, this is such a nice cover, I didn't even know. That's so pretty. With 15 and a half hours left on our timer, I'm gonna try to finish this.
So far, but I won't let what's meant to be slip away from me.
Hey, hi guys, it's actually not that much later, but the sun went down. It is now 7 o'clock and we just passed 11 hours in the timer. We have 11 hours left, 13 hours down. I read a little bit more in The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I'm up to page 211. I just started part 4 and the biggest plot twist just happened. I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this down, and then my jaw hit the floor. I was not expecting that, and also after it happened I was super confused. It was super unexpected. I was like, what the heck? So anyways, I kept reading for a little bit after the plot twist. It's really good and I'm really enjoying it. Because it's a quest fantasy story, it can sometimes be a little bit, I find that kind of tricky with the pacing. So I find like sometimes it's really fast paced and then I feel like there's lots of like slower paced bits throughout, but they're not like, they don't last very long, so it doesn't, I feel like something really big happens and then it's like slow and you're like, okay, we're already doing this, and then something really big happens and then, you know, so there's like lots of little action. They're going through like all these different like layers of the underworld, and so, you know, once they first get there it's like kind of slow, they're kind of finding their way, they're getting, you know, used to this new like level that they're in with like different creatures and stuff, and then at the end there's like almost like a final boss, and then, you know, they get get a piece of what they needed from that level, and then they move on to the next level. And so, you know, at the beginning of each level, it's like kind of slow. Normally, like, we're kind of just going through this and like, okay, like these are the types of things that are in this level, and okay, like now we're doing this and we're going here. It's just kind of like slow, like I said, and then at the end it really picks up when they are fighting the like final boss, and you're like, oh my god, action, 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 are they gonna make it? And then they make their way to the next level, and then the cycle just starts over again. So I would say that happened for a few of the levels. Now, like I said, I'm on part 4, so I'm on the 4th level, and something big just happened. I definitely love our characters a lot more. I always liked our main character. I've always liked her, and then I've always liked our male main character as well. Anyways, so I just want to update on my read. I'm really liking it. I'm super excited to pick it back up. I feel like I stopped at a really good spot. It's gonna really pick up. I will come back a little later when I've read a little more and have another update for you guys. Hi guys, it's a couple hours later and we're doing a check-in. It's 11:47, so we're almost at midnight and we have 6 hours left on the timer. I'm still working on the Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I'm less than 100 pages out and I am struggling. This is either my 3rd or my 4th 24-hour readathon challenge, and I think what I've noticed is that the ones that I start in the morning, I started my very first one in the evening, but ever since then I've started them all in the morning, and I think I've noticed that my hardest time to get through is actually midnight to 2 a.m. That's what happened last time anyways. Midnight to 2 a.m. was the hardest one. And then after that I kind of, I don't know, I get like in a trance, or maybe I get a second wind, but it feels more like a trance where the tiredness just goes away. You're too tired to feel tired or something. I don't know, but it's very weird. But there's like a wall around like from midnight to 2 where like all my body wants to do is go to sleep. It's so hard. When I'm reading the words on the page, they're starting to blur. Okay, I'm gonna go try and find a different reading location. Hopefully that helps. I'm going to have my little friend by my side. Let's see if we can make it. I'm at page 340. The quest is definitely super intense. A lot has happened. We're kind of at a bit of a stalemate with the current level that we're in. See how that goes. In terms of the romance, it's a very slow burn. Definitely have to work for it, but we're getting there. And I'm really liking the romance because I really like both the characters and I think they're really great together. I hope that since the first 2 books were about the same couple, I'm hoping that the next book in the series is going to be also about this couple. Hopefully I will be back and I have finished this book. We can chat about it. We can start our next book. And we are going to be past 2 a.m. I am putting all of my faith in the fact that I'm going to be revived after 2 a.m.
Embrace destiny and stay with me now. If you love me, show me how, 'cause I feel it, baby, feel it, baby.
It is now 2:45 and we have just over 3 hours left on the timer. So I finished The Songbird and the Heart of Stone about an hour ago. It was really great to read this and to have the energy drink during that like 12 to 2 period, which is where I always struggle. So finishing up this book was really helpful. I really just got like into the story, and then all of a sudden it was like 1:45 when I was done. The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, now that I finished it, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was super good. I just had such a good time reading it, and I'm really excited for the next book to come out. I really like the plot as a whole. I thought it was like a really interesting story. I don't know, it's just a really fun book to go with and to sort of think about. I feel like it's gonna stay with me at least until I read the next book and have all those like loose ends tied up and like everything makes sense. I'll definitely do a wrap up with final ratings and more cohesive thoughts after some sleep. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It was such a fun time. And I do think that reading it during a readathon was definitely the move. Sometimes some books you just kind of have to binge, and I think this is such a good one to just binge. Moving on to our last and final book. So finally I've started Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. I've heard really good things about this, so I'm really excited, but I've just started. I'm 31 pages in. So far this book is really good. You kind of just get introduced to all the characters, you get a bit of a lay of the land as to like what's happening, what we can expect from the book, and so far I really like all the characters. I like their chemistry. chemistry. I like what I'm seeing the plot is going to be, and our two main characters. So far so good. I'm only 30 pages in. It's really hard to say. I'm only in the second chapter, but I'm liking it so far. Okay, so we are just about to hit 3 hours exactly left on the timer. I'm not sure if I'll really be back for another update until this timer finishes. I'm just gonna be sort of starting the first half of this book, so unless I have some major thoughts that I need to talk about right away, I think I'll see you guys in like 3 hours.
Be alone in our meditative zone. So breathe deep, baby, we're dreaming daily. Took a walk around.
It's 5:55 and I'm finally done. I can't believe I've been reading for 24 hours. That's crazy. I've just been reading Another Love Song, and honestly I've just been trying to stay awake, so I was really slow. I only got to page 140, which isn't terrible. So we read 2.5 books. Now that it's literally 6 a.m. the next morning, I'm gonna go sleep a little. That is it for the 24-hour readathon. Thank you guys so much for coming along with me. I feel like it was pretty successful. Like, I did stay up the 24 hours, so that was always the goal. That was like basically the one big main and only goal that I had, was to stay up for the 24 hours reading. This was definitely the hardest 24-hour readathon I've ever done, but we finished it. And after the readathon was over, I also finished a book that I had not finished, which is Another Love Song, so I could talk about it as well. So I did finish all 3 books. I did about 2.5 books throughout the 24 hours, and then, like I said, finished the 3rd book after the challenge was over. I really enjoyed the book, and also I wanted to talk about the book after having finished it, so that's what I'm back to do. I'm back to talk about all of them. So the first book that we finished was Sanctuary of the Shadow by Aurora Asher. I already gave some of my thoughts on this book, but looking back on the book now, I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was fun because it was just so different to a lot of the other books that I've read. Yeah, I really liked the quest and just the overall plot of it, and then I also liked our characters. I didn't love our characters, but I really liked them. And the complaints I had about this book were primarily that we were repeating a lot of stuff. I also felt that their love was kind of insta-lovey, and a lot of the plot is really driven by them having like a deep rooted love, and I just don't think that we like explored that enough for that to be justified to drive the plot as much as it did. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. I also feel like this book wasn't that long. It was short of 400 pages, which, you know, in and of itself is a fine length for a book, and we wasted a lot of it on repetition, and I feel like that would have been much better allocated to developing their love story and make it believable. I felt like their connection was very physical. I would have just preferred a deeper emotional connection before we got that, or to replace that, and that would have made me believe the plot a little bit more. Overall though, I really liked it. Was definitely rooting for the characters. I realized after reading this that it is actually going to be a series, and I will be picking up the next book. I really liked it, and the next book is going to follow our main character's best friend from this one, which I'm even more excited about. In terms of a rating, I'm stuck between like a 3 and a 4. It's definitely somewhere in there. I think like a 3.75 would be like the actual rating for this book. So yeah, really liked it. Would recommend. Is it my favorite? No. Is there a lot better? Yes, but I really liked it, and I do think about it quite a bit actually, so maybe it'll go up in the future. I feel like books that stay with you, there's a reason for that, and so this might go up in the future, but for now I think 3.75 sounds right. Really love this book. A fantastic read, and a super great way to start off the readathon. Then in the, I think it was the afternoon, it must have been the afternoon, I continued The Songbird in the Heart of Stone, which I loved. I loved this book. I don't know if that really came across because I was so tired by the time I finished this book, but it was so good. I really loved it. I loved our main characters. They were amazing. I loved the story. The only thing I would say is that like we didn't really get much of an ending. A lot of stuff happened, and it's not like we got things resolved or we got an ending and then we got a cliffhanger. We didn't really get an ending, but we still got a cliffhanger. I mean, it makes sense because it's going to be spread over 2 books, so it's not really a complaint. It's kind of unsatisfying to finish it. But I really liked the layout of the story. I liked the quest that they were on, and I thought that the world building was really original and really fun and very high stakes, and there's definitely a couple moments that my jaw hit the floor, was absolutely gasping. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. There were definitely some twists and turns in here. I think I'm gonna give this one a 4.5. That's just what I'm feeling right now, a 4.5. It was really good though, and I am so excited for the next book in this series. I loved this series so much. Okay, and then the last book that I read read during the readathon was Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. So during the video, I got up to page like 140 and then, like I said, finished it after the readathon. I really liked it. I would say the first half, I was definitely feeling those 5-star feeling, all the feels, all the butterflies. It's such a good romance book. Then I feel like in the second half, I don't know, I just kind of lost all of that. And then the other thing I have to say about this book is that the third act conflict, I actually really liked. I feel like that's one thing that sort of always takes away a lot of points from romance books. Like, oh, the third act conflict was stupid, or it came out of nowhere, or didn't make sense, or they reacted in a way that wouldn't make sense for them, or, you know, things like that. But I actually really liked the third act conflict in this because it was something that was prevalent throughout the whole entire book, but it was never brought up as an issue. And then it kind of allowed the reader to be like, this is not good. This is gonna come up later. But it wasn't like in your face the whole time. Like when you have characters that are gonna be like long distance, it's like brought up every 2 seconds and it's just not interesting anymore. And then of course it's the third act conflict. So this was fun because it was sort of different, and third act conflict brought in a lot of different aspects of the book, and then that kind of all built up to a point, and then it kind of became the third act conflict that could no longer be ignored. And I really did like it, and I liked the way that the third act conflict was sort of playing out. But then it was resolved in like a page, and I hated that. We barely got a conversation. There was just more spice. I'm sorry. What? Can you have a conversation? Could you? We are being dragged through the mud. Our hearts are being broken over this third act conflict, and then one page of like a hi, hello, I'm here, and then more spice. Anyways, so that I didn't love that. It was too bad because the first, like I said, the first half of this book, easy 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Like the way that the relationship was, and the way that like the character development was for like the first half of the book. And then it just felt just overly spicy, and then third conflict was really good, but then the way it was resolved wasn't really good. The last chapter though was like so wholesome. It brought on a lot of the side characters, a lot of other drama that we were kind of going through throughout the book with other characters as well as our main characters, and it just felt so wholesome and so healing, and just that felt good in your heart. So those are all of my thoughts over the book. I know I went a bit more detail, but I wasn't really able to talk too much about the book during the thon, so those are all of my thoughts on that. And I think as an overall rating, I would give it 4.25 stars. Really liked it. Is it my favorite romance ever? No. Is the first half my favorite romance ever? Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm at with this one. It was really good. I'm definitely going to read the other book by this author, the other romance book, Forget Me Not. So that brings our readathon to an end. These being the 3 books that I was able to read throughout the 24 hours. I definitely am very proud that I was able to make it through the 24 hours successfully, and to also have 3 books read off my TBR. I loved that. I love making a TBR and then kind of thinking of which kind of like challenges I can do to get myself to read the books that are on the TBR, and having 3 2024 releases was really fun. I think my favorite book of the readathon by far was The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, and I am so excited for the 2025 release of this. But honestly, these were all really phenomenal. I would recommend every single one of them. I had a really good time doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed following along, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
Take a walk, you smile.